CDL Practice Test, California, Air Brake, Part 3. Question number 55. Brakes out of adjustment will A. Work properly, B. Allow better acceleration, C. Cause some of the brakes to overwork and malfunction. The correct answer is here, C. Cause some of the brakes to overwork and malfunction. Explanation. Brakes out of adjustment will fade before those that are properly adjusted. Brake adjustment must be checked frequently to help prevent brake issues. Question number 56. To test the static air leakage rate, you should A. Leave the engine running and release the parking brake. B. Charge the air system and leave the engine running. C. Turn off the engine, release the parking brake, and let the system settle. The correct answer is here, C. Turn off the engine, release the parking brake, and let the system settle. Explanation. To test for an air leak, turn off the engine, release the parking brake, i.e., push the parking brake control knob in, and see how fast the air pressure drops. The air pressure should drop less than 2 C in 1 minute for a single vehicle and less than 3 C for a combination vehicle. Question number 57. How can you tell if your vehicle is equipped with an anti-lock braking system? ABS. A. The vehicle was manufactured after 1998. B. The vehicle was manufactured after 2000. C. The vehicle was manufactured after 2010. D. ABS is still optional. The correct answer is here, A. The vehicle was manufactured after 1998. Explanation. Vehicles manufactured after 1998 are required to have anti-lock brakes. They also have a yellow ABS malfunction lamp. Question number 58. The S-cam, A. Pulls the brake shoes away from the drum, letting the wheel roll freely. B. Forces the brake shoes against the inside of the brake drum. C. Controls the flow of air to each brake chamber. The correct answer is here, B. Forces the brake shoes against the inside of the brake drum. Explanation. When the S-cam rotates, it forces the brake shoes apart and against the inside of the brake drum. Friction will slow the rotation of the wheel. Question number 59. When the brakes are applied, brake shoes and linings are pushed against A. The brake lining, B. The brake pads, C. The inside of the brake chamber, D. The inside of the drum. The correct answer is here, D. The inside of the drum. Explanation. In order to stop, the brakes must be applied. This causes the brake shoes and linings to be pushed against the inside of the drum, which creates friction. This friction slows the vehicle down. Question number 60. To test the air service brakes, A. Brake firmly while slowly moving forward. B. Brake firmly while slowly moving backward. C. Stop the vehicle, put it in low gear, depress the brake pedal, and then gently pull against the brakes. The correct answer is here, A. Brake firmly while slowly moving forward. Explanation. To test the service brakes, wait for normal air pressure, then move your vehicle forward slowly, at about 5 mph, and brake hard. Check whether your vehicle stops promptly without pulling to one side or the other. Question number 61. Modern air brake systems are three different systems combined: the service brakes, parking brakes, and brakes. A. Foot. B. Emergency. C. S-cam. The correct answer here, B. Emergency. Explanation. The emergency brake system utilizes parts of the service brakes and the parking brakes in case your braking systems fail and need to come to a stop. Question number 62. Why must air tanks be drained? A. Your left side brake will cease to operate. B. Your transmission fluid may drain out. C. Your brakes may fail because of water freezing. D. You will drive too quickly if they are not. The correct answer here, C. Your brakes may fail because of water freezing. Explanation. Your air tanks hold a mixture of water and compressor oil. If left in to collect at the bottom, the water may freeze and cause brake failure. Question number 63. The braking system that applies the brakes when the driver presses the brake pedal is the brake system. A. Parking. B. Emergency. C. Service. The correct answer here, C. Service. Explanation. Air brakes are really three braking systems in one: the emergency brake, the parking brake, and the service brake. As these names suggest, when you depress the brake pedal in normal driving, it's the service brake system that applies the brakes. Question number 64. With S-cam drum brakes, when the brake chamber fills with air, air pressure pushes the push rod out, moving the and thus rotating the A. Slack adjuster, tie rod. B. Slack adjuster, brake camshaft. C. Brake camshaft, tie rod. The correct answer here, B. Slack adjuster, brake camshaft. Explanation. To apply the S-cam drum brakes, air is let into each brake chamber. Air pressure pushes the push rod out, moving the slack adjuster, thus rotating the brake camshaft. As the S-cam on the camshaft rotates, it forces the brake shoes against the inside of the brake drum. Question number 65. Compressed air usually contains what substances that are harmful to the brake system? A. Dust and compressor oil. B. It does not contain harmful substances. C. Water and dust. D. Water and compressor oil. The correct answer here, D. Water and compressor oil. Explanation. Water and some compressor oil are harmful to the brake system because the water can freeze and, therefore, cause brake failure. Question number 66. The safety valve is set to automatically reduce pressure at A. 50 C. B. 150 C. C. 100 C. The correct answer here, B. 150 C. Explanation. The safety valve which protects the system from excessive pressure, is usually set to open when the system reaches 150 C. Question number 67. Which of the following is not part of the air brake system? A. Emergency brake system. B. Service brake system. C. Radio signal system. D. Parking brake system. The correct answer is here. C. Radio signal system. Explanation. The air brakes are made up of 3 separate systems: the service brake, the parking brake, and the emergency brake. Before your exam, read your manual to be familiar with each system's function. Question number 68. The use of air brakes on a downgrade is only a supplement to the A. Use of the spring brakes. B. Use of the front brake limiting valve. C. Braking effect of the engine. The correct answer is here. C. Braking effect of the engine. Explanation. Going down a hill, you should keep your engine in a low gear to keep your speed low, and use the air brakes as a supplemental tool to slow down. Question number 69. The air compressor will stop pumping air into the air tanks at C. A. 125. B. 150. C. 100. The correct answer is here. A. 125. Explanation. The air compressor will start pumping air into the air tanks at about 100 C and stop at about 125 C. This action is controlled by the air compressor governor. Question number 70. Before driving a vehicle with a dual air system, the driver must allow A. the air compressor to build up a minimum of at least 100 C in the primary system. B. the air compressor to build up a minimum of at least 60 C in both the primary and secondary systems. C. nothing. There are no special circumstances for a dual air brake system. D. the air compressor to build up a minimum of at least 100 C in both the primary and secondary systems. The correct answer is here. D. the air compressor to build up a minimum of at least 100 C in both the primary and secondary systems. Explanation. Both air brake systems must be fully functional before the driver should use the vehicle. The driver must allow both systems to have at least 100 C so that the brake systems work properly. Warning. It is possible to release the brakes when the pressure has reached 45 C. The warning light will extinguish and the buzzer will stop sounding when the pressure is above 60 C. But you should never release the brakes or drive the vehicle until the air pressure in both systems is above 100 C. Question number 71. What is the purpose of an alcohol evaporator? A. to prevent a buildup of ice in the air brake system. B. to provide additional windshield washer fluid. C. so the air tanks won't have to be drained as often. The correct answer is here. A. to prevent a buildup of ice in the air brake system. Explanation. Alcohol evaporators put alcohol vapor into the air system to help prevent water in the lines or valves from freezing ice, and the lines or valves can cause them to stop working. Question number 72. Which air braking system is most commonly used in commercial vehicles? A. wedge brakes. B. Disc brakes. C. All used about equally. D. S-cam brakes. The correct answer here. D. S-cam brakes. Explanation. Disc brakes and wedge brakes are very uncommon in commercial vehicles. S-cam brakes are, by far, the most common type. Question number 73. You are driving on a steep downgrade and have the engine in the appropriate low gear. If your safe speed is 45 miles per hour, you should not apply the brakes until you have reached what speed? A. 60 miles per hour. B. 55 miles per hour. C. 50 miles per hour. D. 45 miles per hour. The correct answer is here. D. 45 miles per hour. Explanation. On a steep downgrade, the brakes should be used in conjunction with the slowing action of the engine in low gear. You should not apply the brakes until you have reduced speed to your safe speed. When you do reach your safe speed, you should apply the brakes gradually until you reach 5 miles per hour below your safe speed. Question number 74. When parked on a flat surface, you should A. Not use wheel chocks. B. Use wheel chocks, but only if you have applied the parking brake. C. Use wheel chocks to prevent your vehicle from moving. The correct answer is here. C. Use wheel chocks to prevent your vehicle from moving. Explanation. When parking on a level surface, you should use wheel chocks. If the vehicle is not equipped with spring brakes, this is essential to prevent the trailer from moving. Question number 75. When leaving your vehicle unattended, A. The parking brake should never be used. B. Windows in the cab should be lowered. C. The parking brake must be always be used. The correct answer is here. C. The parking brake must be always be used. Explanation. Always apply the parking brake when leaving your vehicle unattended. Question number 76. Anti-lock braking systems, ABS. A. Reduce a vehicle's normal braking capacity. B. Are not effective on larger vehicles. C. Are in addition to other braking systems and do not reduce a vehicle's braking power. The correct answer is here. C. Are in addition to other braking systems and do not reduce a vehicle's braking power. Explanation. If equipped, ABS is in addition to a vehicle's normal braking system and does not increase or decrease the braking power of any other system. ABS only activates when a vehicle's wheels are about to lock. Question number 77. When testing the air leakage rate in a fully charged system, the loss rate with the service brakes fully applied should be no more than C per minute for a single vehicle and C per minute for a combination vehicle. A. 2, 3, B. 3, 2, C. 2, 4, D. 3, 4. The correct answer is here. D. 3, 4. Explanation. Applied leakage test. When applying the service brakes with the brake pedal, foot pedal, the loss rate should be no more than 3 C per minute for single vehicles, straight truck, 4 C per minute for a combination of two vehicles, Tractor and trailer, 6c per minute for a combination of 3 or more vehicles. Doubles and triples. Static leakage test. Without stepping on the service brake pedal, the loss rate should be no more than 2c per minute for single vehicles. Straight truck, 3c per minute for a combination of 2 vehicles. Tractor and trailer, 5c per minute for a combination of 3 or more vehicles. Doubles and triple. Hint: the applied leakage test numbers are more likely to be on your written DMV test than the static leakage test numbers. Warning: if your truck's leakage rate is higher than these numbers, the vehicle should be inspected for air leaks. Question number 78. To make an emergency stop with the stab braking method, you should A. Pump the brake pedal rapidly and lightly. B. Brake hard until the wheels lock and then release the brakes for as long as the wheels have been locked. C. Depress the brake pedal as hard as you can. Release the brakes when the wheels lock, and apply the brakes again when the wheels start to roll. The correct answer is C. Depress the brake pedal as hard as you can. Release the brakes when the wheels lock, and apply the brakes again when the wheels start to roll. Explanation. To stop with stab braking, brake hard, release the brakes once the wheels lock, and then brake hard once the wheels start to roll again. Open bracket. Clearly, this method won't work if your vehicle has anti-lock brakes, because the wheels won't lock. Use controlled braking instead. Question number 79. If you do not have an automatic tank drain, when should you drain your air tanks? A. Once a week. B. At the end of each working day. C. After every 4 hours of service. The correct answer is B. At the end of each working day. Explanation. Oil and water can start to collect in the bottom of an air tank and can cause failure if it's not drained. Unless your vehicle automatically drains the air tanks, you should drain them at the end of each working day so the moisture and oil will not freeze or coagulate and cause your brakes to fail. Question number 80. When you apply the brake pedal, the brake shoes and linings are pressed against the A. slack adjuster, B. S-cam, C. brake drum. The correct answer is C. brake drum. Explanation. In North America, the most common type of foundation brake is the S-cam drum brake. The brake shoes and linings press against the inside of the brake drum, which causes friction to slow the wheel. Question number 81. How would you check your truck's slack adjusters? A. Accelerate and then brake hard. B. All of the above are correct. C. Use gloves and pull hard on each slack adjuster you can reach. D. Press the brake pedal while listening for any strange noises. The correct answer is C. Use gloves and pull hard on each slack adjuster you can reach. Explanation. To check the slack adjusters, try to pull on them manually while wearing gloves. If there is an inch or more of give, then there is an issue and they should be fixed.